Sports Medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another stellar edition of Sports Medicine. I'm your host, Carlos Zilos Angeles, NASM CPT, CES, CNC, VCS, weight loss specialist, and of course, DotFIT certified practitioner. And today, the showcase of the greats, it's on the air again, and none bigger than our guest today. He is the former owner of the National Academy of Sports Medicine and the founder and owner of DotFIT, fitness icon. Oh my goodness. Neal Spruce, welcome.
Thank you, Carlos. An honor to be here. Appreciate it.
We appreciate your time here today. And it's going to be an interesting show and interview talking about your fitness journey and giving us some advice also. It's going to be great. But before we start, just taking a little moment to acknowledge the passing this past week of a very important person in my life. It's Uncle Hugo, who passed away last week. He was a key figure in my upbringing, and his advice and counseling will be with me all the time. So actually, he gave me a lot of ideas for this show, including the raffle and a lot of stuff. He was an incredible creative mind and savvy, and just wanted to take this little time to acknowledge him. And in Spanish, for all the guys down there, gracias, Hugo, por todos tus consejos y tus sabios consejos y tu guía siempre. Y aquí estamos haciendo lo que tú quisieras que hubiésemos hecho, echar hacia adelante y seguir nuestros sueños. Muchas gracias y descansa en paz. All right. Well, now on to the show. Here we go. How can we start talking about all this huge, well, speaking of savvy, right? I was just asking Kat, I got Neal on the show, and what topic do you think I can have with him? And she said, oh, he's such a wealth of knowledge that you can just talk with Neal about just anything you want. So just for people out there who don't know, a little brief overview of your fitness journey and how you got to be the founder of DotFIT, owner of NASM. Let me hear about that.
Well, it all started with, when I was in, high school and so forth. I grew up with no parenting, though. I lived in many houses before I got into, into adulthood. And what's kept me from going sideways, or kept me from being just a really like all my friends, everyone I grew up was pretty much dead or in jail. So I ended up motorcycle gangs. But sports and fitness saved my life. Took me out of that, and I fell in love with it. So after playing football for through high school and basketball through high school, I ended up going into bodybuilding later on. That got me out of the dark side. And then from there on out, I made a commitment. I realized that sports and fitness saved my life. So I made a commitment to build businesses around sports and fitness so I could return that to the communities of the world and save the world through fitness. And it all started with bodybuilding. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the top bodybuilders in the country for a few of my 18 years as a competitor. And of course, all of us end up living in Venice. You have to go there to die. That's how you end your career. But I was in San Francisco first. There was only one Gold's Gym in Venice when they discovered me. I just won the Mr. Western America. The owner, Ed Connors, discovered me after and said, hey, listen, we know you know a lot about nutrition. We've seen you do new seminars around the place. Would you like to help us, open gyms around the world and put a nutrition program together in it so we would be different than everybody else? And the rest is history. I ended up doing about 500 Gold's Gyms with him. Putting a nutrition program. It's what separated us from anything. We had the best gyms in the world, best personal training model in the world back from the 80s all the way through the 90s. And I retired from bodybuilding during that period and went off and formed Apex then, so I could do more than just Golds. And Apex became, a huge company globally, which was the nutrition portion that I had with Golds, and it just we got into all the other brands around the world. And that's when I met my business partner, Mark Masteroff, who is still my business partner, always be my business partner, and very, very close friend. So he was the founder of 24 Hour Fitness, and I was the Apex guy. And so therefore, but he saw what we were doing in the clubs, and our clubs, we were doing more in personal training than memberships. And no one ever seen anything like that
Wow,
before
that's crazy. Yeah.
in the world. Yeah. So he goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to buy all those clubs and then we can merge companies, right? So that's how it went. So Apex became part of 24 Hour Fitness's parent company, and we built, certainly at that point, it was the biggest, strongest brand in the world. Wherever we moved, or whatever club we moved, decided to build, everybody else is going to go out of business and just sell us their memberships. It was so scary to have us move into town. And those were the heydays of 24. Because I was the heydays of Golds and then the heydays of 24 with Mark Masteroff, and we are still partners today. We sold 24 Hour Fitness back in 2005. And as a side note, $1.7 billion, right? And almost 700 million of it came from the Apex Nutrition Program. So as far as its contribution to the EBITDA in the sale. So so that's why Mark and I are partners forever, and we always will be in all of it. So now, UFC gyms, Crunchos are all part of our equity groups that own them. So we have we keep moving on, building bigger, and stronger. So that's that part. Then during that period, I also, back in the 90s, now this is before even 24 Hour Fitness, I bought National Academy of Sports Medicine, NASM, because trainers needed a credibility. Back in my day, trainers really didn't have any credibility with the medical community or anybody else, or even other communities. The only credibility we had is if you were the biggest guy in the room, you got all the clients, right? So that wasn't going to work for me. If I'm going to save the world for fitness, I need qualified trainers.
Sure.
So buying NASM, I bought 3 more companies, merged them all together, and they became what it is today, the largest fitness education and sports medicine education on the planet. But the good news is all the other ones grew up too, because whether it be ACE, ACSM, they were kind of just sitting back, giving you a book, taking a test. We did all live courses, brought in real physical therapy into the modalities. So we're giving people what they need, kind of hidden behind what they want, so they can live a longer, better, more productive life. And that was what NASM was about. So it really raised the bar. And now there's 10 or 15 great fitness education certifications that are out there now, thanks to NASM with all that.
So
that was interesting. That's all part of it. Now we're just keep moving on. DotFIT is the evolution of all that.
Okay.
So it's a holistic platform that powers the biggest brands in the world, and we're also the largest distributor of we're a research and development firm, DotFIT. So we are the largest distributor and provider of evidence-based, third-party tested nutrition programs and products for the entire NFL, NBA, college sports. All of them there. We are certainly the largest all the way around, not to mention the whole sport and fitness channel combined.
Excellent. So interesting. But going back into that nutrition program, back at Gold's Gym, I believe it was 1981.
Yeah, 1981 is the year I won the Mr. Western America, and that's when they found me.
Okay.
But I was just writing everything by hand back then.
Wow.
We didn't computerize it until 1988.
Yeah.
Everything else was just kind of by hand at that point.
Yeah, so this was after you had won your contest as a bodybuilder, actually.
Well, I'd won a few contests before that, but this was the big one. Mr. Western America is a harbinger to the Mr. America back then.
So interesting, unbelievable. Okay, speaking of Apex, how does it compare to DotFIT? DotFIT is kind of like the evolution, is more comprehensive, maybe. How does it compare?
Well, Apex would be DotFIT if we didn't sell 24 Hour Fitness, but it was part of 24, so they kept it.
Okay.
But they never grew up with it. They left it. They just kind of let it go there. So DotFIT is just the evolution of it. So we just went on to evidence-based. We follow science very, very closely because we have to, because we were the ones that put nutrition in the scope of practice of trainers like yourself. So you don't have to be a nutritionist or a dietitian. Yep. But you got a program that's all written by my nutritionists and dietitians that you can hand off to the customer so it matches their goals. So they can get everything in one place. They're not going to go to 5 different places to get all their stuff. So they can get everything one-stop shop with us. And that's what that was about. So DotFIT is an evidence-based platform. It's just the evolution of Apex. That's all. We just left Apex there and continued on and keep growing it and getting it bigger, stronger.
Yeah, but the foundation is the nutrition. Yep. I've always heard you're a big believer that nutrition really makes the movie. Huh? You can exercise all day, but that's nutrition at the end of the day that determines everything, right?
Yeah, people have missed that. They don't realize that exercise does not build muscle. It only tears
Yeah.
it down.
It's a catabolic event.
It doesn't, exercise does not improve performance. It only tears it down. I always use that example when I'm lecturing like football players. I go, okay, so if you went through a 3-hour football practice today and didn't eat anything, didn't eat anything after, and your coach goes, let's do it again, 3 more hours. Are you better the first time or the second time? Well, obviously the first time you were better, right? Because all you're going to do is get weaker the second. So all it does is tear down muscle. But here's the thing. I'm not poo-pooing exercise. Exercise is the trigger event for what you want to happen in the body. So it sets the stage. So if you're an endurance athlete, you exercise a certain way to be able to get you the mitochondria, the cells, the muscle cells to react the way you want them to in a better way the next time. But the only way that can happen is what you put back in your body to heal it. And then not just heal it, but to make it stronger and better. So you have with the right nutrition. So that's why I always say, and you just said it a minute ago, and that is exercise only sets the stage for what you want. It's the trigger event for what you want to happen. Nutrition makes the movie. Bad nutrition, bad movie. Same nutrition every day, same movie. You come to a plateau, you don't get better.
Wow, so good. Now, going a little bit into your time as a trainer of famous bodybuilder Flex Wheeler back in the day. How was it like to train Flex? I know he's a great friend of yours. Well, you actually call him one of your sons. So yes. You got a great relationship still to this day with Flex. But how was it like back then? It was a very different bodybuilding world. Today, you got all these categories, bikini and men's physique and all this. How was it like back then in those days? And do you consider he should have won the 99 contest against Ronnie Coleman? Let me hear that.
Well, I'm going to be biased on that, obviously. He is like a son. He has been. In fact, he just recently, 3 years ago, when he just got married, again, he got married in my backyard.
Wow.
So we are still very, very close and always will be. We're family. But yeah, he came to me when he first moved to Venice. He was still a teenager, and he came into me and he goes, "Hey, can you help?" I was still competing, so I was way bigger than he was at that point. And he said, he goes, I hear you train like all the Mr. Olympias, Gaspari, Mike Christian. I'm not training him. I don't train him from exercise. Charles Glass always would do that, right? I did the nutrition programs for him.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was never a trainer like that. I always did nutrition programs. All your famous movie stars that would come into Gold's. Derek Barton, who ran Gold's marketing, would bring all the movie stars to me, and I would get them ready for movies, get them ready for their shoots, and also musicians
Fantastic.
as well. And then I did all the Mr. Olympias, many of the Mr. Olympias in Miss Universe, but I didn't work with anybody that wasn't a professional bodybuilder. If they came to me like that, so when Flex came to me, I go, I don't work with amateurs. And I wasn't being snobbish. I just didn't have time, right? Mm-hmm. I'm all buried here, So I'm traveling all the world, opening up the Gold's gyms, doing grand openings for them with the nutrition program, and getting all these actors ready for movies, and so it was just, I said, it's impossible. And then the bodybuilder. So he goes, oh, come on, really? And then I go, no. So he'd leave, and next day he's back in my office again, asking the same thing. Then he'd leave because I'd kick him out. And then he'd come back, he'd ask again. And if I finally gave up, and I said, okay. So I got him ready for the Mr. USA and the Nationals, and he finally won. He had a few seconds along the way, and I always blame myself on the seconds because he was such a good student. He listened to everything. Maybe if he hadn't completely listened, he would have won.
Yeah.
We always make that joke, but training him was ridiculous. I mean, the guy's a genetic freak, just perfect body, deep muscle bellies, just had it all. The skinny little bones, and just everything was just amazing. So almost anybody could have made him a superstar. He did it all. So bad. I was just giving him guidelines for nutrition because he really just didn't really know how to get real cut there in the beginning and so forth. So that was it. He was just a great. We just became great family friends. In fact, when I moved out of Venice, I gave him my place there. So he lived there for a couple of years there, and so we've never ever lost contact. I still see him all the time today.
Wow, so interesting. Actually, I got it right here. The final moments of the 99 competition.
Yeah.
That's when Ronnie Coleman wins.
Yeah.
And actually, Flex kind of like waved to the crowd when he got the medal for second place, like kind of like saying, no, I know I'm number one.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? What comes through your mind when you see these historic moments?
it's not fair to ask me, I mean, that's,
You're gonna be biased, right?
about my son. Yeah. And of course I'm going to pick, I think Flex had the most, the last of the beautiful bodies. You know what I mean? I think he was the last of the Mohicans before it got, to a point now where it's a little strange, and I know a lot of it has to do with pharmacology and everything else. And I'm not saying that that didn't happen back in my day. I'm just saying it's just gotten a little different. And you don't see the bodies look like they used to with that incredible symmetry, and certainly not like Flex. I mean, Flex was probably one of a kind. I don't think there's ever been any bodybuilder like him when it comes to shape all the way around. So yeah, so I would say, yeah, I would have picked Flex.
Yeah, because kind of like for people who don't know, what's the criteria that these judges, and who are these judges? Are former competitors? What's the criteria? Because there's a level of, it's subjective to a certain degree.
Oh, for sure.
And whomever is first and second place is pretty close. So it maybe could have gone either way also.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, for sure. And, it's at the end of the day, if you look at muscularity, hardness, symmetry, all that posing, it's like you said, it's subjective. When it's that close, it can go either way.
So is the beauty in the eye of the beholder in this case?
Yes.
That's it. All right. Awesome. Now the play span. You're always talking about this. So interesting. And this could be very helpful for everybody out there. How do people increase their play span? And what is the play span? Let's first address that for people who don't know. And how can we increase it?
Yeah. So a little history. A quick definition of play span, which is a phrase that I coined.
Okay.
Back in the days, we get professional athletes if they came into our facility at NASM. Mike Clark was the main guy. Dr. Clark was my partner there, and he was the guy, right? He
creator of the OPT model.
When trainers couldn't, when sports strength conditioning guys really couldn't get their athletes on the field fast enough, they would send them to us. Mike Clark would work on them. So the general manager would ask us about how long do you think they can stay competitive? So that I end up coining that phrase, play span. How long are they competitively still? How long can they play competitively, right? So our job was to extend their competitive lifespan, right? The competitive, how long they can still compete. Because these are $20, $30 million a year athletes, some of them. So if I can get them 2 more years, that's $60 million, and that could be hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to the city if they make it to the Super Bowl, right? Or they make it to the playoffs. So that's how that phrase I coined started, was in the sports world. But then I'm going to myself, I go, there's no human being in the world that doesn't want to stop doing the things they love to do. That doesn't mean you're going to do it that well when you're 90 like you did when you were 30. But if you used to play golf your whole life and were a good golfer, and you live to be 100, you want to play golf till you're 100. In fact, you want to be able to get up there on the 18th hole on your 100th birthday, putt that thing right in the hole, and then drop dead right there in the green.
Sure.
Perfect life. Sure. If you've been riding a cycle, and let's say you even competed in the 20s, you ride a bicycle, you competed in cycling, whether it be sprinting, whether it be endurance, and you're in your 20s and 30s, and then, but you want to still be able to ride it if you live to 100. You don't want your kids carrying you around for the last 20 years of your life. If you live to be 100, you still want to ride your cycle. Doesn't mean you're going to ride it that fast. You're certainly probably not going to race it, but you can ride around the block. You're 100 years old, you pull back in the garage after you finish riding around the block, and you drop dead right there. Perfect life. Doesn't get any better now. So that's play span. You want to be able to do the things and cognitively and physically do the things you've done your whole life, all the way to the end of days. The other one, lifespan, is just how long you live. And unfortunately, and then health span is a phrase that the medical community came up with back in the 70s, when people started living longer but worse.
Okay.
Right? They lived long enough to get disease now. We didn't live past 20s. For 3.5 million years, humans didn't live past 20, right? Mm-hmm. Now that we've been able to cheat death by bringing nutrients to everybody around through agriculture, shipping, technology, and then medicine when you're sick, we can now extend the lifespan. And by doing that, we got all kinds of new hurdles. And the new hurdles are disease, right? And if we don't take care of ourselves, that disease is all self-imposed. 2/3 of our $3 trillion healthcare bill, 2/3 of it, that's 2 trillion of it, is 100% preventable.
Wow.
Okay, and every doctor knows that. So we live in a disease care world, not a healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare is something you and I do, Carlos. We take care of people's health when they have it, while they have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the prevention before cure approach. Disease care is the cure after you screw yourself up, right? So our job is to be able to get your play span equal to your lifespan. Well, that whole thing can be done by maintaining a healthy weight, right? Moving, plenty of activity, because there's lots of centenarians, they don't work out with weights necessarily, but they're active. Okay, people that live to be 100. All right, so activity, a healthy weight, and fill all your nutritional gaps from day one. Just like the time you were in the womb when your mom took the prenatal, which is nothing more than a multivitamin mineral, that wiped out 30% of major birth defects overnight. And you never stop taking one. Anybody that stops taking one, there's something wrong with the way you're thinking. You don't just accidentally get all the vitamins, minerals you need from foods. Every single system in the body is vitamin mineral dependent. Every system. Your immune system, your skeletal system, your cardiovascular system, your muscular system, every system, your skin system, every system is vitamin mineral dependent. There's 32 that we need, and if you're missing one of them completely, you're dead. Life doesn't even start. So, and then if you don't get all the ones you can use, you just live a lesser life. That's all. So your body down regulates to what you give it. And that's what happens to almost everybody out there that doesn't fill all their nutritional gaps properly. And it's so simple and inexpensive. It doesn't make any sense you'd ever stop making sure that you took a complete multivitamin mineral that's got all the known under-consumed nutrients, and they're known, really easily known. You take that daily and eat the best you can, right? And maintain your weight, stay active, bingo. Game over. You got now you got a chance for play span.
Amazing. Okay. So that's why you always mention that the Active MV of DotFIT that we got at DotFIT, it's a non-negotiable. So everybody, it doesn't matter if you're exercising or you should take the Active MV every day.
I won't work with an athlete unless they're taking a complete multi. Why would I want to work with someone that's got lesser vitamin mineral activity in their body? They're not going to heal as fast. I've got to prevent injury too, right? And what happens is these little micro tears you get as an athlete if you don't heal completely. Your next workout is only as good as your recovery from the last. So if you don't recover from the last one, your little micro tears will lead up to an early injury. So it's ridiculous. No reason.
So true.
If you really understand the human body, you know that you need that. Unfortunately, there's some just some naive health professionals out there that will tell you, well, if you eat right, you don't need to take a complete multivitamin mineral.
Yeah, but
where does that come from? Well, first of all, no one eats right. And that's been proven 100 times, thousands of studies. No one does.
Sure, and it's pretty.
You may think you do, but we've already proven you don't. And there's no one that would be immune to the benefits of it, no matter what.
Yeah, and also you want, and you want to eat the exact same thing every single day. You're not going to do that.
It's
not possible. It's just not possible.
And you don't even know where these, let's say you're eating leaf vegetables. You don't even know where these fruits and vegetables were actually grown. So if the nutrients out the soil, it's not going to be in the plant. So there's oranges from Florida have a different nutrition profile than oranges in California. There's hardly any selenium in the soil in Florida. So you got all kinds of issues there. It's the best insurance policy in the world. And you're hedging all your bets to be able to make sure everything's working fine, rather than be compromised.
Sure. Okay, so now let's hear your top 3 supplements for immunity for everybody, especially these days. It's always been important, but nowadays even more so. So 3 supplements that you would recommend to anyone, average human being out there. As non-negotiable for immunity.
When we're talking about immunity, right, that means that everyone, no matter what, like we've already talked about, your immune system is vitamin mineral dependent. There are 15 of them that operate up there. And if you don't get them at the right levels, called the RDAs, and I didn't make them up, the greatest scientists in the world discovered the RDAs. And if you don't get the RDAs, your body downregulates. So your immune system just downregulates. And you are now far more susceptible to an infection from a virus once it enters your body. You can't stop the virus. I don't care how many vitamins you take. You can't stop the virus from getting into your body, right? Once it gets there. That doesn't, but your immune system, the way it handles it, that's what it's all about. And if it's completely full with all the vitamins and minerals, you now have a very well-controlled immune system, unless you've got, some genetic defect. We're not talking about that. That's a very small percentage of the population. So therefore, that's number one, complete vitamin mineral. Now, when I'm saying that, you should understand this, Carlos, and so should your listeners. That includes vitamin D and C at high levels. So vitamin D and C are part of that complete multivitamin and mineral. D at 1,000 IUs a day, okay, all right, and then you've got, which is 40 micrograms a day, and then you've got vitamin C at about 1,000 milligrams a day, and that's all part of a multi. All those things can be in there at the same time. Like that's why we take two actives. You can split it up so the size isn't too big. But you've got everything else, your vitamin K, you've got your B vitamins, you've got all the ones that are involved in your immune system functioning. Vitamin E, these are things that keep the T cells up and strong, and all the things that fight infections very strong, and inflammation. They keep it all going. They're anti-inflammatory. So that's number one. Now, Dr. Fauci came on and talked about vitamin C and vitamin D supplements, but they're in a multivitamin, in a good multivitamin, such as ours. We just make sure it's all in one. Because people aren't going to take all these different bottles. So that's the best way to do it. Now you got your D covered, your C covered, and all the other vitamins and minerals that we know are under-consumed in the U.S. diets. So that's number one. Number two, after that, would be during periods of high stress or high viral periods, right? When that's flu seasons, glutamine. Glutamine is one that feeds our gut, our GI system. For people that don't know this, our intestinal tract, so the gastrointestinal system, which starts in the mouth and runs all the way through your body and through your anus, all the way down, that is what we call the GI tract. And in there, we've got, if your gastrointestinal tract doesn't work, nothing's going to work well, obviously, because that's their first line of defense. So glutamine feeds the cells, the enterocytes there, keeps them strong. They use glutamine, it keeps them strong. And 70% of your immune system, Carlos, is connected to your GI, all the cells in the gastrointestinal tract, 70%. So glutamine feeds that and keeps it strong. And during periods of high stress, the body wants glutamine everywhere. It's trying to knock things out and it needs glutamine to do that. So it becomes a conditionally essential amino acid where the body really needs more of it during those periods of high stress. We put ultra endurance athletes on it the last 6 weeks of their training because their calories aren't as high as they need to be, and they end up with what we call exercise-induced immune suppression. In other words, it's the point of diminishing returns where exercise actually crashes your immune system. Bodybuilders getting ready for competition all live on glutamine the last 6 to 8 weeks to protect their immune system. Otherwise, they end up with a viral infection. So you got those kind of things. So glutamine would be the next one. And then a non-vitamin antioxidant supplement that would have lutein, zeaxanthin, lycopene, astaxanthin. These are carotenoids that are very, very important to our immune system as well. And they're also important to our skin and our first layers of defense in the body. So those would be the top three.
Excellent. Okay, now top three for muscle mass. We're talking to a bodybuilder, so we got to talk about muscle mass. So the top three supplements for those guys who want to increase that muscle in the gym.
Okay, so again, if your muscular system's vitamin mineral dependent, then you're going to have to have that. That's baseline. Like I said, that's every human being. But let's move from that. Let's go on top of that now. So after that, again, you 1 gram per pound of you need 1 gram per pound of lean body mass daily of protein. Okay, wow. So if you're 200 pounds and you're 10% body fat, you have 180 pounds of lean mass, right? Somewhere around there. So from that, you want 180 grams of protein divided anywhere from 4 to 6 meals a day, with about 30 grams before your workout and 30 grams immediately after in a shake that's digest quickly so it leaves the gut and into the muscle to help keep you from breaking down too much muscle during the workout, but recover immediately. Well, the body's very hypersensitive to those amino acids, and we can probably put a little bit more muscle on at that period.
Why is that? Because food takes too long to digest and get into the muscle, actually, right?
Yeah, you can't get that, what we call hyperaminoacidemia, floating around the muscle when it can use it with just food, because food takes 3, 4, 5 hours to digest and get the amino acids taken out of it. But they're going to be in the body, so they're going to finish the job, right? They'll finish, your food will continue to finish the job, but a fast-acting protein takes advantage of that little window right after a workout and before a workout, because you want to also keep muscle from being broken down too much. There's really no such thing as overtraining as much as it's undernutrition. People just don't heal properly that way. But there are overtraining happens when you really have to push yourself to the limit and your calories are being restricted. So that window, when the enzymes are your whole muscle is very sensitive after you've broken it all down and so forth, that there's a window there when everything just wants to be fixed. So if you get amino acids in there, then you probably get a little bit more repair that you wouldn't or other get. It's hard to make it up later on in the day. That's why that window is important. So that's protein protein before and after the workout. And then as far as a supplement to improve your acute performance, in other words, your immediate workout or a competition outcome, and then you would use creatine and beta-alanine would be the other two. Those would be the two that can give you stronger, better workouts. So over time, that adds up, right? Each workout is better than the other one. It keeps adding up. So over 12 weeks, you've got more type 2 fibers or whatever else you were working on during that particular time.
So in essence, taking the extreme creatine right here, triple XL, that's going to do it. The beta-alanine.
And it's got glutamine. It's got glutamine to help you heal too. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So should people take this right after the workout or before the workout?
You could take a scoop before the workout and a scoop right after. On non-training days, just take a scoop. Take a scoop with a morning meal and an evening meal, because you got to keep beta-alanine and creatine in the system. You can't take a day off until your cycle's done. And then when you're done after 12 weeks of periodization training, whatever you're doing, then you can just take a break for 6 weeks, 12 weeks until you start it up again.
Interesting. Okay, excellent. Now, regarding nutrition, there's a lot of talk out there these days of the gluten-free diets and the lactose-free. What's your take on this? People are going crazy with this stuff and thinking that everybody should go gluten-free and that's super harmful and whatever it is. I'm pretty sure you got great thoughts about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, gluten was a fad that started, again, by the way, back in my day in the 70s, gluten-free was a big fad diet. It's just, they just resurrect this stuff, right? And people just make shit up. They just get to that point where it sounds good. It's a marketing spin or whatever. Is there gluten sensitivity? People that are sensitive to gluten, which is a protein in wheat, right? Yeah. And there's people, when you have celiac, these are people, that have, irritable bowel syndrome, that are, celiac disease. Those are people that have to be completely gluten-free, but it's less than 1% of the population. So what ended up happening, there's people that will just cut out wheat products altogether, grains, and these type of things. And they end up shorting themselves a lot of nutrition and they end up eating more calories. Gluten-free actually causes most people to gain weight rather than lose weight, because there's more calories per nutrition when you're buying gluten-free stuff. So that's one. If anybody does lose weight going gluten-free, it's because you're not allowed to eat fast food stuff that's got grain in it. So you avoid fast food. So you just cleaned up your diet by accident.
Sure.
And there's not going to hurt you to go gluten-free as long as you're taking a complete multivitamin mineral and getting your fiber other ways, your natural fibers and things. If you're not going to eat grains, then you got to find them other sources. And there's lots of gluten-free type of, I can't call them grains, but gluten-free types of starches that are out there that are fine that you can use. So you can do it. You don't. The vast majority of people, I've done a lot of studies on that go gluten-free, didn't need to. And there's no real test for gluten sensitivity. The best thing to do, if you feel better eating that way, so be it. That's all. I'm not one to take it away from you. So that's one. And then the paleo diets and the intermittent fasting and all these different things. If you're dieting to lose weight and that makes you lose weight, fine. This is something you're going to be able to stick with for over a long period of time. But if it gets you there, so be it. But you do need to take enough supplements to make up all the stuff you're missing. When you go vegan, you're missing B12, you're missing zinc, you're missing all types of vitamins and minerals, which is why they really have to supplement, right? And it's not natural for human beings to be vegan. I know that may sound funny to some people out there. It's not natural. We're omnivores, pure omnivores. We evolved eating what was ever near us, and that's why we became omnivores. Otherwise, we would just die of famine, which most people did. So almost everybody died before they were 20. So that we evolved as omnivores and our bodies became that. In fact, it wasn't until we discovered fish that our brains would develop because of the omega-3s in fish, which is obviously not a vegetable. So there's nothing natural. There's nothing natural about being a vegan. Therefore, you got to supplement carefully. Is it good for the environment? Absolutely. I applaud people that can be pure vegans. I applaud you.
But I think it's actually healthier to go vegetarian or vegan. It's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, but you're right. But sometimes it can be, Carlos. In other words, most people, if you look at the average American diet, it's pretty bad, right? That's why we got 70% overweight and obesity in this country. It's pretty bad. So a vegan diet, a good vegan diet would certainly be way better than that. Now, a good omnivore diet, I would argue, is probably better than a vegan diet just because it's got more nutrition and less calories all the way around. And the problem with too much fiber is it pushes vitamins and minerals through you. You don't absorb them very well. The cells of our vegetables and the cells of our fruits hold on to the vitamin minerals and push it right through you, which we know. That's what fiber does. So they're not readily available like they are through other sources. Now, and again, I eat a pretty plant-based diet. I'm an omnivore. I always have my protein is generally from animal sources, including dairy, right? So I always have a protein supplement twice a day because I can't eat that much food, right? And it's less expensive than food. So I save $50 a month on groceries by buying a protein supplement. That's what's great about that. And I'm getting better protein because it's whey, right?
Yeah.
And in all your good protein supplements like ours, there is no lactose. You don't have to worry about that. There is no lactose. So people, I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have a dairy protein. Yes, you can. There's no lactose in it. That's all stripped out during the filtration process. There's some cheap ones out there that might have it in there. But I mean, so now people that go vegan, they got to be careful. They just got to make sure they supplement properly. Same with paleo or any other ones that are out there. You just got to make sure you supplement properly.
Fantastic. Okay, last but not least, what's the latest from DotFIT and what's to come in 2021 from our company? Let me hear that.
Well, lots of things. I mean, obviously 2020 was a very difficult year for everybody. All our gyms had to shut down because of COVID, and the trainers were out of work. People have now gravitated toward virtual training, and most will come back to the gym eventually, no question about that, no argument there. But many have adapted also to virtual training. My wife is one of them, a virtual training because they need a trainer, they need personalization, and it works. That holds them accountable as well. So there'll be hybrids out there. And so we built a couple of models for our trainers. We've got over 40,000 certified professionals like yourselves and everything else. So we built a model that they'll be able to use to not just virtually train, but people can meet them in a park. It's called Pinpoint. And it just locates the trainer of your dreams. So in other words, I want a trainer that knows nutrition. I want a trainer that knows Pilates. I want a trainer that knows weight training, and I want a trainer that understands cardiovascular. You click all those things off and it will locate those trainers for you. And they could be in a different country, but you can still use them. It can be on virtual, or you can meet up, find one locally near you, and then you can meet them either outside if you'd rather go to a park, or in a group setting, or whatever else you want to do, or at the gym they work at. So that's called Pinpoint. So that's the new model that will be available to all of our trainers, certainly the ones that are independent. And our clubs will use it too. We'll have a club model, so that our health clubs will be able to use it. So say Gold's Gym, like here in SoCal, Angel and Willie will be able to use it for their trainers, so people can locate their trainers because they're specialized in other stuff. Not to mention they got some of the best gyms in the world, Angel and Willie do. So, you'd want to work out there, find the right trainer, boom, rather than you going to the club and having to search for the trainer. Now you've done it online. You've got them and they're in that club, and you can go there and get your appointment and get it done. So a lot of great things that we'll be able to do, as we go through. So that's what's not. And then, of course, all the formulas are upgraded as usual, as science upgrades. All of our nutritional advice moves along with science properly. And on that note, you should know, since COVID, the supplement industry has, for us, we've gone up 300% in sales, because everyone, it's that I told you so moment for me. You should have been doing this your whole life. You can't just do it now and everything's going to be okay. You can't go back and get taller if you didn't get enough protein when you were younger, okay? Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things. You can't go back and build more bone. You didn't get calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D when you were growing up. Can't do that. They're going to be weak forever. You can stave off the loss of it, but you're not going to be able to keep building it and going from there. So the body, that's the thing. That's giving yourself all your body can use all the way through there. Now people are listening and they're starting to do it. So that's the good news. They're paying attention to filling their nutritional gaps. So that's going to be a big, big play for everybody going forward.
Fantastic. Okay, so now it's the time for that ruffle that people were waiting for. Oh, I got my NASM bag, tote bag, back from the Optima convention.
Great, that's great.
So
I'm
let's
back
see.
with NASM now. I'm part of their advisory committee and very, very happy to be so.
And PTA Global also. Huh?
Yeah, the parent company Ascend took PTA Global. Mark and I own that program there, and they've merged it now into the NASM group, and then the education will just kind of flow through. So we've really got a much better platform as we go forward. And the new, by the way, I should tell everybody, the new NASM certification update. I think Carlos.
Yes.
CPT 7. It's just getting released now, and that's big news. That's big news for the whole industry.
Yeah, that's great. Keeping up to date as always, as only NASM knows how to do it. All right, so we got our winner right here. Oh, yes, sir. One of my clients, Marco, he's the winner. There you go.
There you go, Marco.
So he's going to be contacting Berlinda momentarily in this afternoon to get his $100 in DotFIT supplementation. He's loving those supplements. I recommend it to him, and he's loving the amino boost. He got the whey protein. He loves it. So now he's got $100 to get more supplementation now.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for taking for your busy time today. And we got to do another show because we can talk about a lot of stuff all day long.
Sure. No problem, Carlos. Listen, I appreciate you inviting me. Again, honored to be here, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you. Likewise. Thank you so much.
Okay.
This has been, yes, sir, with Neal Spruce, Sports Medicine.